Hi folks, this is Chico with He Provides Homestead. This is a video that I've wanted to do for a long time. This is a subject that I like to talk about, but I'll try not to ramble. This is a subject that has changed my life on many levels. We're going to talk about books today, and specifically books that will make homesteading easier, more successful, maybe less laborious. So, and at my age, less labor is a good thing. So, and we're going to do more than one book video. I'm going to do one, I believe my wife's going to do one, and then we will likely do one together. And we have maybe some unique perspectives, but that's kind of one of the things that YouTube's all about, seeking out and finding unique perspectives. The opportunity to look at things maybe a little differently than you did before, or maybe go against the norm. So I hope we help you in that area. So I've got 5 books laid out here. 3 of them you can likely call traditional homesteading books. 2, maybe not so much. But I'm going to start with the book that changed my life. And let me add this in. The name of our channel and our place is He Provides Homestead. So obviously that lets you know that we believe He provides. So the Bible also changed my life, and it is a hugely important book on our homestead, and it has benefits that just will permeate your life. It has more benefits than I have the ability to speak about. And we have multiple Bibles. We actually have one in the living room, one in the bedroom. I know this sounds crass, but I have one in the bathroom. So we have a few. But I'm not going to review the Bible. I'm not going to talk about it any more than I just did. I just didn't want to leave it out. That would be wrong. But a book that changed my life, the cover jacket's missing. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This is a decades-old book, but it literally changed my life. When I was in my early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, my life was not what I thought it ought to be. It was not going where I thought it should be going. I was having difficulty with relationships. Life was not doing what I thought it should, and I knew that I needed to know more than I did. For many years, my mantra has been, let me make sure I get it right, I just know enough to know I just don't know enough. I'm all about learning. Teach me, and I mean that. I'd like your comments. Teach me, help me to know more. But this book, I had heard reviews, I had heard people mention it. It was really old when I picked it up 25 years ago. I think it was written in the 30s. I should have researched that before I started talking. But it's decades old. And I will give this caveat about this book. This book was written a long time ago, so some of the analogies, some of the things that he alludes to won't ring a bell for many folks. He talks about people that have kind of faded into the annals of history. He talks about events that many of us have never heard about. But the bottom line, the thread that weaves through this book is timeless. Whatever you do in life, you can do better if you have better relationships. Whatever you do, whether it has to do with employment, homesteading, marriage, children, just living in any type of community, this book will improve you. It says 8 things this book will help you achieve. Get out of a mental rut. Think new thoughts. Acquire new visions. Discover new ambitions. Boom! Don't we get in a rut sometimes? Wouldn't thinking new thoughts benefit us in many ways? New visions, new ambitions. That's good. Make friends quickly and easily. Friends are a good thing to have. When the chips are down, your friends might be the only thing that helps you get back up again. Friends are a valuable resource. And we don't mean this shallow. This book doesn't talk to the shallowness of Facebook friends, of your Twitter bros. That's not what this talks about. Real friendships. Increase your popularity. In today's politically charged language, that might seem like a bad thing, but being popular is not like being popular in school. Basically, what he means here is that people like you. It's good to be liked, and you have to earn it. You have to earn being liked. Win people to your way of thinking. Be an influencer. In modern speak, be an influencer. Don't worry about taking credit. Worry about getting the job done. Increase your influence, your prestige, your ability to get things done. On Homestead, it's always about getting things done. Wouldn't it be nice to be more effective at it? Handle complaints, avoid arguments, keep your human contacts smooth and pleasant. We're all going to get complaints, and if you have a YouTube channel like a lot of our viewers do, and many of our friends, it's a community, you're going to get complaints. If you have children, you're going to get complaints. You're going to get them whatever you do in life. This book will help you deal with them. It'll help you to avoid arguments, and that alone, if I got nothing else out of this book, avoiding arguments has been a godsend to me. It has improved my life so much, because as a young man, I was ready to argue with anyone, and often did. Become a better speaker, a more entertaining conversationalist. Having a good vocabulary and being able to carry a conversation in any crowd that you may find yourself is a wonderful attribute. It is a resource in and of itself. A better speaker, in today's modern technology, being a better speaker is a huge plus. And number 8, arouse enthusiasm among your associates. Often your associates are your family, your neighbors, the guy at the feed store, the lady at the tractor or at the farm store. So you want to build those relationships. I think often that success depends on your ability to build community, and this book will help you do that. I can't speak enough about this book. It because of its dated references, it is a little bit difficult to read, but it is absolutely worth the work and effort to get through it. I highly recommend it. Give it 5 stars. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Another book that helped change my life, that is not the normal book when you think about homesteading. Dave Ramsey, Total Money Makeover. Phenomenal book. Highly recommended. Debt is not your friend. It is not your friend. And if you'll look at my lies video, I'll link it right up here. Debt and debit and all of that is a big thing that I talk about. But the Total Money Makeover, if you haven't heard of it, I'm not sure where you're living, because I think everybody's heard of Dave Ramsey. But this book talks a lot about debt, how to get out of it, how to stay out of it, how to live a prosperous life without debt. And he talks about denial. Most folks, I think last I checked, the average American household carries $15,000 worth of consumer debt. That's massive. And the interest and fees that you're paying on that debt, astronomical. But most of us deny it. It's not a big deal. I got it. Debt myths. He tells you straight up, death is not a tool. Or not death. Death's not a tool either. But debt is not a tool. And a lot of people are misled and they believe that it is. And it is not. Talks money myths. He talks about keeping up with the Joneses, which may be one of the biggest problems that we give ourselves, is we want to have something nicer than somebody we probably don't even talk to. It's a waste. He talks about having a emergency fund. Highly recommended. I've preached emergency fund to our children numerous times, and a couple of them that maybe heeded our advice for a time and then let it slip through, or didn't heed it at all, have had issues come up, and we were able to have a teachable moment with our young adult children about this, what you're dealing with right now. This is why you got to have an emergency fund. Talks about the debt snowball, maximizing retirement investment, college funding. Our kids are all adults, so not a big deal to us. How to pay off home mortgage. And at the last chapter he says, live like no one else. That's the name of the last chapter. But when you get into the book, he also says, if you'll be willing to live like no one else right now, later you'll be able to live like no one else. And that's kind of one of our mantras here at He Provides. We were willing to be disciplined and live like no one else, and we are already seeing the benefits of that. We are often living like no one else. So debt's a bad thing. If you want to get out of debt, I highly recommend this book. If you just want to have a different thought process about debt, if you want to have some influence on your life that is not debt and bank company sponsored information, go to this book. I give it 5 stars as well. Now some traditional homesteading books, some traditional you got to have on Homestead, in my opinion. Let me start right here. Nourishing Traditions. I'm a little bit tongue-tied today, folks. I'm sorry. Nourishing Traditions by Sally Fallon. Phenomenal book. It covers so much, and there's a line here. Let me find it. If nothing else, this line in this book would have drawn me in to purchase it and to look into it. The cookbook that challenges politically correct nutrition and the diet dictocrats. Okay, anything that challenges current political correctness, I want to know more about it. I think political correctness is biting us in the butt daily. I think it's a travesty. So that alone will draw me in. But phenomenal book. It covers so much, and it covers so much that I didn't know. So she talks about a lot of things: food allergies, special diets, salt, spices, additives, enzymes, minerals, vitamins, carbs, fats, proteins, a lot of that. But she talks about some things that I didn't know I was lacking in this area. She talks about cultured dairy products, fermented vegetables and fruits. 3 years ago, never had a clue how important fermented vegetables and fruits were. Never realized that some of the government rules, I guess, that are like homogenation, different things that it kills all the good bacteria as well. That in what may have been a well-meaning effort to help people, also caused harm. That all of our good bacteria in our gut is being killed off. We need that good bacteria, and fermenting is one of the ways to get it back. And probiotics. Although this is water right now, I buy these, I drink them. They're probiotics. They put the good stuff back in your gut, and since it's glass, when I'm done, I fill it with water. They're handy dandy when we take road trips. Sorry, little side note. She talks about sprouted grains, nuts, and seeds. I never knew anything about sprouted grains, nuts, and seeds 3 years ago. I've since learned that they're super nutritious, good for us, and that they're also good for my birds. That I need to do some of that for the ladies and gentlemen at the Chick Inn. She talks about sauces and marinades and the need for sauces. Modern political correctness has told us that we should probably stay away from sauces. But sauces, where is it? Traditional sauces promote digestion and assimilation. So, again, I didn't know that either. She talks about all kinds of different meals. Or she talks about what we currently call appetizers. She talks about salads, main courses, vegetables. She breaks it down into lunch and supper. She has a whole section on grains and legumes, snacks, which a chunky brother like me, I like to know more about healthy snacks, and desserts. She even talks about beverages, feeding babies, and tonics and superfoods. This is packed with great, healthful information. Some of which I kind of think might even be life-saving. So, great book, Nourishing Traditions by Sally Fallon. Bought it on eBay. I'm not saying that's where you have to get it, but it was easy peasy. Boom, boom, and we found it and we bought it and it was shipped to our front door. Another book that we bought on eBay, and another one that I am a huge fan of, is the Encyclopedia of Country Living by Carla Emery. Okay, Carla Emery is the mother of, if you are a homesteading video regular watcher, if you view more than this channel, if you view multiple channels, if you've heard of Fauchamatic Off-Grid, and I believe they are in the process of changing their name to Fauch Family Homestead, maybe? Fauch Family something. Something else I should have researched before I started yammering. But Fauchamatic Off-Grid is what it's been called for the long time that my wife and I have been watching their channel. Carla Emery is Esther Emery's mother. And I actually learned of this book through Esther and watching their videos. And she will explain more about this book than I can because she was there. But her mother wrote this book, and she did it color-coded pages originally, but a phenomenal book. She talks about plants, grasses, grains, canes, garden vegetables, herbs and flavorings, trees, vines, bushes, and brambles, food preservation, introduction to animals, poultry, goats, cows, and home dairying, bee, rabbit, sheep, and pig. And many of these subjects 3 years ago I knew nothing about. It is well written, and one of the things that I like about this particular book is that it has the little color tabs. I've got some arthritis issues in my hand. This helps so much. Section 4, garden vegetables. I just opened it up, and this section's about potatoes, including sweet potatoes, which I've recently become a big fan of. It talks about root vegetables. What else? Seed saving. She talks about poisonous plants. She has a tree quiz. Nut trees, nectarines, and she lists pawpaws. Does my heart good. Pawpaws nearly became extinct, and they're making a big comeback. In fact, we've got started an orchard at the Orange County Community Gardens. I'll link one of those videos up here. And pawpaws are, I think we planted half a dozen or so. So, fantastic book. Encyclopedia of Country Living, Carla Emery. Found it on eBay. I bet you can find it too. It's worth the cost to buy it and have it shipped to you. Last book I want to talk about today. I've always kind of been fond of the Reader's Digest, compilation, subject books. The books they'll write, they'll pick a subject and the whole book will be about this one topic. I have another one back here that's about home improvement, but it's not for today. But this one is Back to Basics, How to Learn and Enjoy Traditional American Skills. Many of our traditional American skills have been lost. Lost to time, lost to indifference, and dare I say lost to technology. Phenomenal book. Highly recommend it. Actually, I got this book for free. A family member seen it at a yard sale or somewhere and picked it up and knew that it belonged on our bookshelf. This book covers things like buying land and building on it. Pretty important. Part 2, energy from wood, water, wind, and sun. Huge skill. Creating your own energy from the resources that you have. Part of homesteading, and as you see the lights above, I'm really not there yet. Well, I guess I could be. I could have solar and be generating my electricity from my lights, but I'm not yet. But we're closer than we've ever been. Fantastic section right there. That section alone is worth including this book into your homestead library, or your life skills library. Part 3, raising your own vegetables, fruit, and livestock. So many people I talk to and come across don't have a solid understanding of where our food comes from or even how it's produced. This gives you some great information, some invaluable knowledge. And the more of our own food that we can grow, the less chances we have of getting into a debt nightmare. Growing your own food is not only a healthy decision, it's a healthy financial decision. Part 4, enjoying your harvest year-round. Here's where my wife and I lack the most. This is where we are really missing the boat in our homesteading lifestyle, preserving our food. We're far better today than we were a year ago, and a year ago we were a little better than we were 2 years ago, but we're still not where we need to be. This book helps a lot. Part 5, skills and crafts for house and homestead. Talks about natural dyes, spinning, weaving, hooked rugs, braided rugs, patchwork quilting, rope and twine, tanning and leatherworking, woodworking, broom making, scrimshaw, household recipes. And household recipes are like laundry detergent and cleaning liquids and a lot. It's more than just what's for dinner. Metalworking, stenciling, flower drying and pressed flowers, gourd craft, soap making, candle making, basketry. Great stuff. And this is, my wife has some natural skills in this area, but she can glean so much knowledge just from this one part. And part 6, a part that sometimes gets overlooked or put so far back or so far down on the priority list, but it is pretty important. Recreation at home and in the wild. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Don't be a dull boy. Don't be like Jack. Have some fun. It talks about old time, good times. Crafting a mountain dulcimer. Making your own musical instruments is so close to being a lost skill. There were some, the older generation, many of which are gone now, in my area, made some wonderful instruments, wrote beautiful songs, some of the best ever created, and they were all done right here, locally, on what we would now call a homestead. Celebrating holidays, canoeing, kayaking, camping, outdoor activities in the winter, fishing, living with nature. Fabulous, fabulous book. I did look this up at one point, and I did find it on eBay, but that's been a while back. But I bet if you look hard, you can find this book as well. It is worth the cost of purchase and shipping. I opened it up to page 140, The Kitchen Garden. It talks about cold frames and trapping the sun for winter farming and all the different vegetables and when to plant them, how to harvest them, how to store them. Talks about mulch and water. Big fan of mulch. I think it's helped us so much. Saves us water. Last year we didn't use a drop of water other than what we got in rain, and our only rain storage was buckets that caught rain from the roof. But because we mulch, we got by with a lot less water. So mulching's a big deal. Talks about gardening in limited space, herb gardens. Talks about pruning, grafting, cooking, baking. Tons and tons and tons of knowledge. And I don't know about you guys, but there's so much I don't know that I do need to know. I may not sit down and read these books through like a romance novel, but I've got them on my shelf, and as long as our home is not destroyed, I have access to this. If the power goes out, I have access to this. If we have a SHTF situation, I have access to knowledge I either do need or may need. Big winter storm. I'm stuck inside for a few days. The cable's out, or we don't have cable. Our internet's out, whatever. I can bone up, brush up, and sharpen my skills right here. So, 5 books that I think are absolutely a wonderful thing to have on any homestead, in any home, in any apartment, anywhere, anytime. Good stuff, good knowledge, good for me, good for you. So, comment section below. Please tell me what books do you recommend that everyone have on their shelves? What books do you recommend for homesteading? What books could you not live